Hey everyone, Straw Hat Puffy here, bringing you a new video today on a little review on a recent light novel that came out in America, though it came out in Japan quite a bit, and I'm talking about The Intuition of Haruhi Suzumiya, the most recent addition to the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya light novel series. And yes, I am very excited to do a video on this. I've always been meaning to get into the light novel series after watching the anime and the movie and all the spin-offs, reading the manga, and I just haven't got into it until now. Of course, with new Haruhi content, especially in 2021, after 10 plus years or so, I'm just so excited to be able to see something new with the SOS Brigade and see what new adventures they go through. Though keep in mind that this review will be pretty brief, it'll be spoiler free, and it'll be targeted towards those who may have not read the light novels, such as myself, or those who have read the light novels and are looking towards the next issue. Of course, I'm just gonna recommend it regardless, being a big fan of Haruhi and everything Haruhi. So, you know that my final word will be to go read it if you haven't already. And with that, I guess we will get started with the review. So first off, some small things I just want to say is that there are some differences between how the light novel kind of portrays stuff versus anime or manga. It is a different medium, so it makes sense that way. But in the light novel, you definitely do see a lot of the things happen through Kyone's perspective, and by that, a lot of the dialogue or the inner thoughts of Kyon and his surroundings. So I mean by that is that a lot of what's happening in the surroundings is kind of narrated by Kyon. You get to see a lot of his inner thoughts. A lot of them are sarcastic, snarky, and it's great. I love it. You get to see a lot more of his character shine than what they did in the manga and anime. And of course, those were great, but you just get more of it, which I love. Also, I will say that they do kind of capture Nagato's personality better. Of course, you may not think of her as having much, but she does do a lot of subtle things that kind of is her own way of expressing herself, whether it's through body movements or through what she says or how she says things, which is more captured by Kyon's thoughts and observations. He kind of sees, oh, this is what Nagato is doing, maybe she's slightly tilting her head, and the way he points it out kind of infers what she may be thinking. Of course, it isn't explicitly stated, but I love how as a reader you get to have some fun and see more of Nagato's side to her, which I really like. But with all those formalities out of the way and differences, let's talk about the content itself. Of course, spoiler free. I am saying of course a lot, I should probably work on that. But anyways, first bit is called Random Numbers, but it's actually included with Noisy Ito's second Haruhi art book. So it's not exactly new, it's been out for a while. And this doesn't really take place chronologically either, since it takes place back in New Year's, a bit after the disappearance arc. And it's a really short but cute story. I quite liked it a lot. Nothing really crazy happens, but it's a tiny small mystery or challenge that Koizumi proposes to Kyon, and he has to kind of solve it. But along the way, while he's solving it, the gang, the SOS Brigade, goes on a little trip to the shrine to celebrate New Year's, and the girls are all wearing kimonos, and they all look gorgeous. There are some pictures of them. Of course, there's pictures throughout the book, and these little small illustrations drawn by Noisy Ito are all very very pretty. I just love his art style, or I just love the way he draws Haruhi and everyone, and they all look perfect because they can do their hair. They have some fancy kimonos are a little different from the ones we saw in the Endless 8. But yeah, I loved this little arc. It was pretty cute. There's some romance stuff between Kyon and Haruhi. Not too much, but just a little tease. And yeah, it was enjoyable, but short read. Now, getting into the real content, as in the new stuff, I believe, we start with 7 Wonders Overtime. which kind of goes back to the usual Haruhi formula, but not really. I was a little mixed on this because it did feel like Haruhi, as in the series, it's kind of going back to its roots. But if you know recently, like kind of what happens, kind of like strays away from that, kind of stays safe, and starts to resemble a series that is different from what it used to be. Not that that's a bad thing. It can be, depending on what you're coming to Haruhi for, but I do love seeing the SOS Brigade work regardless, and this time they're kind of talking about the 7 wonders of North High School. And if you don't know, most school, well, not most, but there's a tale in some Japanese high schools where there are like 7 like wonders, 7 like mysteries, 7 like scary, bizarre things that may happen. For example, maybe a statue on campus moves, or the piano in the music room plays by itself at night. Like very spooky rumors and stuff that goes around students and are passed on. But North High doesn't really have any, so to kind of circumvent Haruhi from creating her own bizarre, outlandish beliefs of what creepy things that happen in school, the other SOS Brigade members kind of come up with their own and propose it to Haruhi. So in this chapter, Haruhi isn't present most of the time, which is unfortunate, but it does put some more emphasis on Koizumi, Kyon, Nagato, not really Mikuru sadly, but the main attraction is focused on T-san, which is the new girl. She is a transfer student to North High, and she's in the same grade and same class as Kyon and Haruhi. She's blonde, and yeah, I guess she's pretty. But T-san is part of the mystery club, and then she's only present because she has like some mystery books, some mystery documents, or documents from the mystery research club to show to Haruhi and friends. But some of the mysteries she kind of proposes are kind of looked at by Kyon, Koizumi, everyone else, and they kind of dissect the mysteries themselves from the research club and kind of deduce whether they are in fact true or just some coincidences that just led to some wild imaginations. And this part was kind of neat. It kind of reminded me a bit of Hyoka, if you know about that, where some kids kind of solve some mysteries or debunk them. Here, I kind of want to say that Koizumi is a little more sarcastic and daring, teasing Kyon more. It is explained why if you've kept up with the manga or the light novels, just to know recent events. It's kind of cool seeing this dynamic grow more, especially with Haruhi not present. However, I will say that not much really happens. It's just a lot of talking. Everything takes place in the club room, and the characters kind of don't do much, but it's a little fun regardless. And it kind of felt like a mini filler, but yeah, it was kind of sweet. T-san herself, kind of interesting because she seems like she could be a close friend to the SOS Brigade, similar to Tsuruya. She has kind of a neat dynamic with Koizumi, both being mystery enthusiasts, and her just kind of teasing Kyon, similar in a way to Haruhi and Tsuruya, but in a different, kind of like lighter way. But I can't wait to see what T-san has to offer. Going to the main challenge, or to the main chapter of the intuition, would be Tsuruya's challenge. And here, I guess I don't have to wait too long. You see T-san again with the SOS Brigade, but this time they are kind of sent some challenges from Tsuruya through email because she's on a business trip. And these challenges are like little stories, but in them are a bunch of mysteries that the gang has to figure out. But luckily Haruhi is there, so now you have a bunch of like smart powerhouses. You got Haruhi, you got Koizumi, and T-san, who is part of the Mystery Research Club, and then of course Nagato, big brain alien. And then, and then Kyon and Mikuru to pose some small thoughts of their own. from a less intellectual perspective. But regardless, it's fun seeing everyone's inquiries and problem-solving skills shown throughout this chapter. Before that, though, there's actually kind of some talks on mystery books and the idea or how a mystery is written within a novel, and it gets pretty in-depth. I will say that I'm not too well versed in mystery novels, so a lot of it kind of went over my head. But if you know your authors, because they do reference a lot of real authors, you might get a kick out of this discussion that Koizumi has of T-san. But anyway, yeah, going back to the challenges, they're pretty fun, especially since it's written by Tsuruya. So she kind of has a funny way of writing and describing things. I don't think I picked up on that much in her speaking manner in the manga or in the anime, but it was kind of fun with how she kind of portrayed these events of her life. And speaking of, we get a lot of Tsuruya backstory, nothing like too in-depth or too specific, but we kind of get a little sense of what Tsuruya kind of has to go through outside of when she's helping the SOS Brigade. But I think it was kind of sweet because she is herself a mysterious person. Not much is known about her or why she's so involved with the SOS Brigade. But the way we kind of find out is through a nice story, or a few nice stories. So that was kind of a sweet addition I liked. I didn't think too much of the small challenges. I will say I kind of just read the novel and appreciated it, and then let the characters do the problem solving. I think if you like really pay close attention, you might be able to figure out some of the mysteries yourself before the characters do. But it was really fun regardless. Pretty thought-provoking. However, again, not much crazy stuff happens. Nothing too in-depth as like the disappearance or the surprise, I believe, which is like the one before the intuition. And I will say that kind of some of the characters don't do much, especially Mikuru. Kyon kind of says some comments seen there, but nothing like too big. And then Yuki, she's quiet a lot of the times. And then T-san, she's actually just struggling to read the Japanese of the story because she's foreign. And overall, I'd say that the Intuition of Haruhi Suzumiya was a really fun read. Definitely a lot more mystery stuff involved within the story, though these mysteries are a lot different from the Snowy House Syndrome or something arc, as well as the Murder on the Island mystery. Those were like a lot more serious, I guess, or a lot more interactive, but this time the SOS Brigade are just solving these mysteries from text on a page and have to decide from there how it works. But I loved it regardless. Random numbers, really sweet short story. Random numbers, 7 wonders over time. Also pretty sweet. Get to see a lot of the characters and how they interact when Haruhi isn't present, as well as the introduction of T-san being there, which is cool. And then Tsuruya's challenge, that's when you see all 6 characters working together and you get to see a bit of Tsuruya. So yeah, that is kind of like my review. I guess I'd rate it 10 out of 10. Probably not, maybe like 7 out of 10 in terms of Haruhi. But I am excited that Haruhi is back in a way, and I'm kind of hoping that we get maybe more consistent continuations in the light novel. Looking at you, Tanigawa, please. But I hope that if you're into Haruhi in some form or fashion, you'll definitely pick this up. Of course, you should definitely read all prior events, whether it's in the light novel or the manga. And with that, I guess that is kind of like my review. Let me know if there's anything I missed, anything I kind of mixed up. I was just kind of writing this from my notes, so it could have just been stuff written on the spot and I forgot to update it. But I had a lot of fun writing this review, and I hope you had fun listening to it. So yeah, that's gonna be it for me. Thank you everyone. Goodbye. Peace.